Okay, hi, welcome back to my third series in my Sunday Live series. This is just my space to talk about, first of all, I'm Dr. Sarah Louie, the hip doc, and this is my space to talk about all things running and rehab and kind of where all of those things collide. And today I am very, very excited. We have a really awesome guest coming on. Whitney Heins is the kind of like founder and just brains behind the Mother Runner. And she also just has a ton of different empires that she's running. She has a family with two kiddos. She's a run coach. She's a super fast marathoner. She's the founder of the Mother Runner, and she just puts out amazing blogs and this amazing running podcast. And her stuff is just so good. Like, it's so trustworthy and so good. And I have just eaten it up as a consumer on social media, and I'm really excited to pick her brain today. So let me get her in, and we'll go from there. Go live. All right, and we'll just wait for... There she is. Hi,
Hey,
Whitney.
Sarah. Thanks for all the kind words. That was so sweet of you.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Oh, yeah, it's my pleasure. I'll try not to ramble too much as we talk about like injuries and rehab and all that stuff, because
Yes.
I think, for most injured runners, it's a journey. It's never like a straightforward like, oh, this is my injury and I rehabbed it for 6 weeks and then I returned running. It's a very confusing process.
Yes, it's never linear, and I always say running is such a high level activity. So to get back to it really takes a lot of components. So you're right, it's never just like this simple thing.
Yeah, I actually just recently did an article on my site called How I Stopped Being an Injury Prone Runner. And there were like 15 items that covered the whole gamut, from like sleep to eating to my warm up to just like the day-to-day running and stuff, that all contributed to me finally like getting healthy again.
Yeah, I think I actually read that one on your site. But also just like all of your stuff, like all of your articles that you put out are so good. Like, there's so many blogs out there that are just kind of scratch the surfacey, but yours has so much information just linked deep in there. I love reading your stuff.
Oh, thank you. Well, I come from a journalism background, but then I'm like
Yes.
able to connect with experts like you. Like, you helped me with. You were the expert for one of my hip articles on running with hip pain, which a lot of people deal with. I actually just had an athlete email me today talking about how she thinks she might have like a hip impingement going on. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I really enjoyed working on that with you. My first thing that I want to chat with you about today is, how did you start the Mother Runner? Where did this come from? What was your vision? Tell me all the things.
Yeah, so the idea for the Mother Runners came about after I was training for my first marathon since becoming a mom. And I just was running into a lot of challenges. Like, my son at the time was still waking up a whole bunch and still wanting to nurse throughout the night. And when my daughter, my firstborn, when I would try to go running, she was super attached to me, and she would like have the biggest meltdowns that went on for like the whole time that I left. Like, all these challenges that come with being a
Yes.
parent. And I felt very alone in them. And I was just like, gosh, I just want to go run, because I just want like
Yes.
minutes or 60 minutes to go out and have this
Yes.
decompression time. And so I ran by myself most of the time. And then I started running with this other mom that just kind of opened a world of other mother runners. And I realized that I wasn't alone in my struggles, and they had a lot of helpful, like, real life tips, because anything that I Googled, I would read the articles, and it was like super clear that it wasn't written by somebody who had lived it. And they
Yes.
often, like, I read it and felt worse about my situation, because I was like,
Yes.
you make it
Yeah.
sound so easy. This is not easy. So that was sort of like that was the gateway, the like impetus for starting it, as I wanted this platform to like share helpful tips, and then for other moms to help them go after their goals and feel good about it, not feel guilty. But then also, like, I'm a competitive runner, so there is a lot of like just general running tips out there that's useful if you're, a 50-year-old man without kids. So
Of course. Yes.
it's all of it.
Yes, I think that that's fantastic. I think one of the reasons that I first started following your page is that I'm actually not a mom, but I love treating moms. Moms come in and they are like the most selfless people. They're doing stuff with their kids all day. They're, they're the person that's like juggling all of this stuff. And then when they come to me, especially if I'm seeing them in person, it's like the one 45 minutes, whatever, hour time slot that they just get to themselves. And I love being the person that can just like serve them and also give them the space to be like, it's okay for you to still like want to run, even though you have to carve out time to be away from your kids and do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's so wonderful having people like you who recognize that and appreciate that. And like, I think I just thought it was really important because I battled with this internally for a very long time. For like, your running is not selfish, it's making you feel good
Mm-hmm.
about yourself, which then allows you to go and be the best mom or wife or employee or whatever that you can be. Because I just feel like when first of all, when we don't feel good, if we're like in physical pain, or we just don't feel good about ourselves at all, and we just feel just completely worn down, and it just and almost spiteful sometimes, like,
Yeah.
gosh, I'm doing everything for everybody and I don't have time for myself. Like,
Yeah.
that's got a lot of like negative juju that goes with it. So I
Yeah.
just really felt like it was important to kind of you eradicate that thinking and have people realize that, like, when you run, you're actually doing like a service for everybody in your world, because it's
Oh, of course.
making you a better, nicer person.
Of course. And I think you posted that video of you finishing one of your like races back and your two kids are there and they're so excited to see you. Like that is not like a negative thing that they're not mad at you for doing that.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And they now know, like, running, I mean, it took a while to get there, but now they know that that's what I do and they're totally cool with it. And like, now it doesn't really, like, the only time it impacts the schedule is on Saturday mornings, because they wake up when I'm running.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
most of the time, like, it doesn't even, most moms, they move mountains so that their running
Yeah.
does not like impact other people too much. It's
Yeah.
not like, hey, it's soccer Saturday and I'm like, okay, see ya, honey, good
Yes,
luck
of
with the
course.
kids. Like,
Of course. Yes. Yeah, and I think that's another reason why I do love treating moms is I love that you said this in one of your website things, but like the nimbleness that you need to have to be able to fit everything in. I love just being like, okay, this is what you're going to do when they're at practice. This is what you're going to do when they're doing this, and then just fitting it in wherever you can.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like, I leave my foam roller out purposefully by the bathroom, because my mental cue is like, okay, when they're in the bath, it's time that I can like lay on the bathroom floor and roll out while keeping them company in the bath. It's like just
I
little
love
stuff
it.
like that where you fold it into your momming day.
Yes, true mother runner there.
Yeah.
What things, I'm so curious because you have like your podcast and then your blog and your coaching. What kind of things are you working on now professionally, or like what are you juggling now?
Yeah, just continuing to grow. Like, I just feel so, so lucky that I've been able to make my passion, like running has always been my passion. Now it's like my job, and it's a job that I can fit within like the nooks and crannies of my life. So like, I wake up really early to work on my website and
Mhm.
record the podcast usually when they're at school. But yeah, it's really growing, and I have a lot of athletes now, and I love all of them. They're so awesome, and I just feel so grateful to like be helping these women in their journeys. And then
Mhm.
also, like, I admire them too. Like, they may be learning something from me, but I'm also like gleaning a lot from them as well. So it's just, I don't have any like big 2023 announcements other than to
Yeah.
just like keep on keeping on with the way that, or like the direction that the Mother Runners is going in.
Yeah, I think that's great. There doesn't always have to be like an amazing push, but sometimes it's nice to just like stay steady and like stay excellent in the things that you are doing, which is awesome.
Yeah, like, my son started kindergarten this year, and I thought I was going to have so much time on my hands, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this and this and this and add this to my plate. And then I realized that I didn't have that much more time, and things were just kind of growing at the rate that they needed to grow. And then if I had added all that stuff, they would take away from me being a mom, because then I'd be like stressed, like, oh, I have all this I have to do instead of being present with you. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's always a time and place for that, for other stuff.
Yes, of course. What does it look like to be an athlete of yours? Like if you're my coach, what does that look like?
It looks like us checking in almost on a daily basis and telling me everything that's going on in your world. Like if you're working, I actually coach several nurses who work
Okay.
crazy
What's the tough
schedule.
ones?
Yeah, like I mean, like I said, I admire a lot of my athletes and the ones that are nurses. They work crazy hours. They're dealing with, sick patients, sick kids at work, and then right now
Mhm.
illness is crazy, and they're
Yeah.
coming home to sick kids. So just staying on top of like all the different areas, facets of somebody's life to make sure that they're getting enough sleep, they're eating, everything's balanced. Um, and so, yeah, it's a very customized plan. Like we work towards a goal, and the goal may be just like getting fitter, or maybe trying to get a BQ or whatever. But like, I'm just really big on just like having regular status updates, because it changes day to day. Like you could be feeling great, and then the next day everybody's got a stomach flu and your 20 miler is shot.
Yes, yes, for sure. I love that. I think that was the biggest game changer when I switched from working in the clinic full time to like having my own practice, was just being able to have those like text updates of this is what happened, what do I do, as opposed to waiting, I don't know, whenever. Just like that accountability and I don't know, ability to like debrief is amazing.
Yeah, I think like a lot of running coaches who maybe aren't moms don't realize the importance of flexibility. Like, I don't know, I want running to fit your life and not your life to fit running. And so I never want someone to come to me and have running be a stressor. It should be
Yeah,
a stress reliever. And so I really try, like, obviously I want to motivate and push my athletes towards their goals, but most of them are pretty like self-motivated anyways. And so it's just a matter of
yeah,
problem solving to make sure that we're like doing the best training for them um, that's going to serve them and push them towards their goal, but not break them down mentally or physically. So that's, I
exactly.
mean, there's always a lot of moving parts. And so it's just staying on top of all those different parts.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love what you said about not having it be a stressor, because I think sometimes it can be. And I think if you're willing to like hire a coach and put someone in like your arena with that, it's amazing to have someone be like, okay, this actually shouldn't be this stressful, which I like. I like that you said that.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I think like a lot of the way that I coach is because like I know how I am. Like I let running stress me out. My family had the flu and I had this 21 miler. And it like was completely stressing me out that I couldn't do it. And just like,
Yeah,
I know that feeling. And then I know that that's reflected in a lot of my athletes. So I kind of
yeah,
know like what would help me. And oftentimes like what would help me helps them as well. So.
of course, of course. What are you training for now? Or are you training for anything now?
Oh yeah, I'm running CIM, the California International Marathon, in 3 weeks. 3 weeks
Nice.
from this morning. So
Yay!
my last big long run yesterday,
Oh my
and
gosh.
yeah, and that ironically didn't go
Yeah.
great because I woke up at 2 a.m. with like food poisoning or something, but
Oh my
knocked
gosh.
it out. Still got like my 8 mile pickup at the end done. And it was brutal, to be honest. And like, if I was one of my athletes, I would have said, Whitney, don't do the run. But,
Yeah, you're gonna
I
do
lived
it.
to tell about it, so it's okay. So I'm very much looking forward to the taper. Very much
Yeah.
looking forward to being back and able to race again, because I was hurt for 3 years.
Yeah.
Um, so my husband's going out there. I'm in Tennessee. My husband's going out there
Okay.
with me, and the kids are going to stay with grandma. And
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully it'll be a great day. It's been a great build up. I just like run with gratitude
Yeah.
since I haven't been able to do it for so long.
Yes, that is amazing. I'm really, really excited for you to get back out there.
Yeah.
How do you feel like coming back from your injury? Do you feel like I don't know, tell us a little bit more about your injury too, and like kind of the road to getting back to running.
Yeah. So I'll be try to make it quick because it is a 3-year long ordeal. But
Yes. Yeah.
in 2019, just like my coach and I decided I had a shot of trying to qualify for the Olympic trials, which would have been a 2:45 in the marathon.
Amazing.
But unfortunately, like in the build up, like early on in the build up, I tore my hamstring. Continued to train with it. It was a partial tear. Continued to train with it, and my marathon with it torn. So that was Indy in 2019. And then after, like, I tried to continue to rehab and run, and it became really apparent that I couldn't do that. So I took, like, I don't know, 4 months completely off. And then it was like a long road of trying to figure out, like, what exercises were actually helping it, where the line was with the return to run. But what I found, like, really that worked well was once, you know, like starting with body weight and then progressing to weights, and becoming, and like really relishing the strength training and realizing like how big of a difference that makes in running, walking first and then walk to run using the Ultra G. So it took me like over a year to get back. And then, unfortunately I had some other stuff happen, including like I was back for like a month and then I tore my plantar fascia. So,
Oh my gosh.
well, so, and like what happened was I came back for like 6 weeks, 2 months, was feeling good, was feeling really good. And I had randomly I had an adverse reaction to the second COVID shot and got lung inflammation. So then I had to take like a couple months off, came back for like a month, and then tore my plantar fascia. So I think it was just like, there were a lot of factors at play there. So that was what helped me heal my plantar fascia finally, was I did PRP injections.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. Yes. And I've talked to a lot of people. I've had a lot of people reach out to me about that. That plus PT plus a very, very regimented return to run program, got me back, and I have zero pain. So I started training in May. Of this year. And so, just being super diligent about my PT, and just being really, really self-aware of like the pain level. Cause if you are injured and you're returning to running and you feel pain, it's so easy to freak out. But like knowing what kind of pain was okay and what kind of pain is a red flag. Like if you're changing your gait, red flag. If the pain is worsening as you're running, red flag. If the pain is still around 48 hours later, red flag. Like you've met your threshold and you need to back it up. Like, and I use the Ultra G too, which is an anti-gravity treadmill. And that was also awesome. So
that's amazing if you can get your hands on that, because you still get the amazing stimulus of running, but there's just less like stress going through all of your tissues in your body.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my physical therapist was awesome. And he gave me, like, he would tell me, okay, you can go for 50% of your body weight and you can go up to this time and this speed and we'll see how you feel. And then he and I would just stay in touch about that. So yeah, you can look up like Ultra G in my area, and there are probably a lot of physical therapy places that will let you pay like $20 to use it for an hour or something like that. So
yeah. Probably, honestly. I just like that's amazing that you're back from all of those things.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for you.
It was a journey.
But yes, I love your story, and that it sheds light on this, like, it's not just 6 weeks and then we're back. Like, that is what maybe like insurance, or I don't know, our minds have deemed us to think that we can go to PT twice a week for 6 weeks and come back. And if we don't, then there's something wrong with us. It is totally this like journey of ups and downs, and figuring out, like, it's kind of like, I can't think of the right word, but when you're like calibrating towards what is right in strength training, towards what is right in running, and then like sometimes just for some random reason, like this, COVID booster or COVID shot, like you're just gonna have like a setback, and then you have to recalibrate to what is appropriate. So I think your story is so spot on to so many women, and so many women just, I don't know, try to plow through or just kind of call it quits because it's just too much of a cycle for them.
Yeah, I think it is really important to like almost accept that part of the process is the back and forth, is the setbacks. Because early on, like, you get to your doctor or your physical therapist and you're like, okay, how long am I going to be out? and then you wrap your head around that, and then you think that that's it. And honestly, like, it's usually not that. It's not just 6 weeks, or like you need to
Yeah.
prime your brain to be ready for it to be longer and for it to not be a straightforward trajectory. I think the most important thing is like making sure that you find a healthcare provider who understands runners, who you trust, and who isn't just gonna like just be like, yeah, it's plantar fasciitis, just go get a night splint and some insoles and you're good to go. Like having somebody who really wants to get to the root of the problem, instead of just like, getting out there, jump to conclusions, Matt, and, just kind of you on your way. So, yeah, like being injured stinks, and it's a very frustrating process. And you can also like, I struggled with not accepting my grief, because I was like, well, it's not like I have a life-threatening illness or something. Like I just run, but like running is, for most people, or a lot of people, like the foundation of everything else they do. And so like once I accepted that, like, no, I am actually really sad, this is a loss, like I was able to move forward, like both mentally and physically. And so I think just like accepting that, and know that it takes time, and see it as an opportunity for gratitude once you get back to the road, because you will. And this is the same, like if you are coming back from having a baby, and I mean, there can be issues too, as I'm sure you know, with like just dealing with the pelvic region. So it's most runners are going to get, if you're pushing your body, like there's a chance you're going to get injured, a good chance, and it's not your fault. It just happens. You learn from it.
Yeah, it's totally not your fault. It happens. Is there anything, I guess, besides the Ultra-G treadmill that you kind of maybe like replaced your running, or like you felt like was kind of like that mental place that you could go during your recovery, like maybe the Ultra-G or strength training?
Yeah, it was like, you kind of have to figure it out depending on your injury, because I tried we have an elliptical, so that was like the easiest thing to do, but then I realized that the elliptical was making actually both of the injuries worse. It wasn't helping. And so then I tried doing the bike, and I realized that there was like a threshold with that too, that I couldn't do it as like vigorously as I wanted to, because it would irritate my injury. But so you just have to kind of find something that's like kind of scratches the itch but doesn't further irritate it. Walking is a great exercise. Like it's not the same, but it's still you're still outside. You're still like giving yourself that brain space. And I really have like learned to enjoy strength training. I feel like now it's made me just a lot like more bulletproof as a runner, and it keeps my legs from fatiguing like earlier on and on. So I do think it's definitely like, even now, if you're healthy, like think about something else that you could do that's active that you would enjoy should something happen.
Yes, of course. That's actually something that I really think about with my clients, because there's just, I don't know, I just like to give them the opportunity to be like, I'm going to try swimming, or I really like biking, or whatever it is specific to their injury, because really with the runners, a lot of it is just that mental reprieve that we get from being outside and just going and just getting in the zone.
Totally. Yes, absolutely. And I got into the groove with the cycling. And it was good. It wasn't the same, but I knew it wasn't forever. And so it was okay until then. And I really started to enjoy the Peloton app too. So
yeah, which is great. Do you feel like your like recovery process has kind of changed where you are mentally now as a runner? Like, has it changed any way that you train or like approach running?
Oh, 100%. The biggest difference is just like, I don't run. I run I run full of gratitude, realizing the gift, trying to not make it so serious. Like, especially if you have certain goals, like you can make it just be so serious, which steals the joy. You start like falling into comparison traps. You start running based on fear. Like you're afraid to take a rest day or move a workout because you think you're going to lose your momentum or you're not going to get as fit. And like, just, it really shined a light on a lot of like unhealthy tendencies that I was headed towards, I think. And so like when I got injured, I was just like so locked in on my goal that I realized that like it was just taking it was completely taking the joy away from all of it. So,
Mhm.
and like, you know, then there's like little like process things. Like I always make sure I warm up. I always take a
Yes.
rest day.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, little, and I listen to my body. If I feel like there's, I have something creeping up on me, then I will move the workout or run extra easy the next day or something like that. So,
Yeah, that's amazing. I really like that. I think the other day I was going for a run and I posted on my story about this, but I was like, gosh, every time I start my run and I feel like, I don't know, like lead legs or like my injury might be like coming back or whatever, I always just start with like, I am so thankful that I get to be out here. I'm thankful that I get to be outside and move my body in this way. And it just totally, it just changes your perspective tenfold on, you know, whatever run it is or whatever you're training for.
oh, I love that. I think, yeah, I think that's a great way. Like, we should be holding that into warm ups, you know, like just a little, like,
Yeah.
take a moment of like, I am so grateful that I get to be able to do this, even if I don't feel great or the weather's bad or whatever. Like, it's still, we are so lucky to be able to do that.
Yes, seriously, so lucky. I think my last question for you is where can we find more information about you?
So it's easy. It's themotherrunners.com. Obviously, my Instagram is the Mother Runners. My Facebook is, and then the podcast I actually host for another running website called Runner Click, and so
Mhm.
it's the Passionate Runner
Okay.
is the podcast.
Okay, awesome. And then, of course, here on your Instagram as well.
That's right.
Yes. Is there any last things that you want to say about running or rehab or being the mother runner?
No, I think we covered a lot of it. I'm just really like happy to chat with you and really honored that you asked me to be on.
Yes. Yeah, I was really, really excited when you said yes. I love all of your stuff, and I will continue to follow you and send people your way that I think would be good for coaching or just stay connected in the running world.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah. Anything I might be referring that one athlete I mentioned to you, anything related to hips, I will send your
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, yeah. And I do more things. That's just like my number one favorite thing. And I think the other thing that you said too is the PRP injections. I have a lot of patients and clients that have worked with them. And I think I have a pretty good eye of like, is this going to work for you? Or like, is it worth it kind of thing? So if you ever get stuck with that, feel free to just message me with that too.
Oh, that's great to know. Because, yeah, if
Yeah.
you go to my PRP article on my site, you'll see that there's a lot of people that have messaged me either in the comments or I get a lot of personal emails, like several a week, asking me
Yeah,
if it would help. And I'm like, I can only tell you based on my experience
of course.
whether it would help you. But I would say that, like, if anybody here is considering it, like, chances are you're going to need more than one injection, because I did have lots of people who have written me that are like, oh, I got one and it didn't help. And I'm like, no. Like, chances are you're going to need a series of three, space
Yeah.
like a month in between for it to actually work.
Yeah,
So
that and some rehab stuff. But yeah, I can check
yeah,
in.
yeah. Okay, well, that's good to know. Well, thank you so much, Sarah.
Yes, thank you so much, and good luck on your race in 3 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, bye, Whitney.
Bye.